Lou Thesz faithfully defended his World Heavyweight Championship.
Rogers strut.
Kowalski's got him right where he wants him.
Dory Funk Jr. wanting that World Heavyweight Championship.
10 pounds of pure gold.
Simon Felder's Dusty Rhodes has just become the World Heavyweight Wrestling Champion.
Presenting the greatest organization in wrestling history.
We always deliver on our promises at the National Wrestling Alliance.
Yeah, but pretty hard, and look at what are you going to work now? Oh!
Hey everybody, it's Durger time. Thank you for joining me once again for another episode of NWA The Dynasty. We had a pretty solid show and we're moving at a clip. If we keep going at this pace, I think we're in a good spot going forward. Our last show had I want to say 61? Let's take a look. 61. And, we've been doing pretty good. 69, 59, 63, 59, 62, 60. So we've been hitting consistently at that 60 or higher range for the most part, which has given us a win in our regionals, or at least I should say a second place in our regionals. It's not too bad. The big issue going forward is that we have that one final month for our broadcasting deal. So we have 1 month for Fight for our pay-per-views and 1 month for IWTV. And right now, it doesn't seem like anyone is willing to negotiate for the size of our show, which makes sense. It's a 2-hour show. Mav TV is kind of the one we would want here, but I don't think they're willing. They're only willing to do, I'm guessing, 1 hour. Let's try an hour and a half and see. Mav would be the ideal at this point because they're that commercial cable versus internet cable. You're going to get a lot more ad revenue. And we do have a war chest, but it is dwindling. And we're only making I don't know. What are we making here? From our revenue, $5,000 to $8,000 a month in broadcast revenue. It's simply not a lot. A little bit of advertising, and that's about it. We're likely going to get a lot more on a cable network, depending on what slot we get. And that's the other question. Let's see. Would they take an hour and a half? Because we might be able to work with that. No. Longer than they would be willing to allow. They would only allow an hour-long show. Something that I don't think we could comfortably book. Our roster size is of a point that I think it would hurt us if we tried that. I don't think it would work very well for us. So for now, I guess we're stuck at IWTV. Not where I want to be quite honest. I would like a much larger company to pick us up, but we're not even getting offers from larger companies right now. U.S. companies we'd be looking for, ABC would be nice, but even just some slightly larger companies, MTV probably would not take us. They would need to be a medium. CW also needs to be a medium. Vice TV would take us if we were small. So that maybe down the line. WGN take us if we're small. We're at a point where basically we're not going to get much traction here at all. Where we just simply are too small for anybody to pick up. And that is certainly an unfortunate fact right now, that we need to get a lot bigger, a lot faster. Unfortunately, we're kind of capped. We're getting there. We're achieving 35 in at least your home region. We are almost there. I think in a couple months we'll be there. So the next TV deal, we're probably only going to do for a 3-month deal. It means we're going to continue to lose like close to 40 to 50 grand a month. I don't see a way out of that. In fact, it may be better to, in the short term, looking at this, now that we have 2 months down, it may be better to actually run a pay-per-view every month. Because while we did still lose 58,000, we actually lost slightly less when we ran the pay-per-view because we got some pay-per-view revenue. So the cost of running the show actually was less than what we took back in, which is the opposite of what I expected. And that would grow us a lot faster. So I think after Codyverse, we may add a couple extra pay-per-views in there just to keep moving on. Maybe that is the best option for us because we need to quickly move up to that small size. That will open up some doors broadcasting-wise and start cutting the hemorrhaging of funds for us. So certainly an option here for us. But a long road ahead for us, I think. Overall, though, we still have, like 6 months of revenue, of finances that we can continue to eat at here before we have to start making some very difficult decisions. Ones that are going to be pretty tough. That said, we have pretty good shows. We're going to keep moving on. We have our tournament. We are well on our way, probably about a third of the way through our tournament here. Still have a lot to go through. As you can see, there's a lot of people that, a lot of matchups that still need to happen. And we have no runaways yet. Everyone's pretty much even. It's going to take a long time to get this TV tournament done because we're only doing about 2 per show. If we were doing like 2 shows or a house show before, we'd probably have a few more moving through, but we don't have that situation. Anyways, let's go ahead. Let's move on to our next episode of Worldwide. All right, we're back with our studio. We do have some backstage incidents that have not happened in a while. A whole bunch, actually. Colby Carino and Arn Anderson got an incident. Let's see what happened here. Brought before wrestlers' court. Accused of making a mess backstage and not cleaning it up. And, of course, having to buy drinks for everyone else. The Glock is out and aiming at Colby Carino, apparently. Small positive impact on him. And then we got QT Marshall and Brock Anderson passing psychology tips to his protege. Probably doing the same as well. QT Marshall doing very well for us. But not a great performer on screen for us, at least charisma-wise. Has been vital as a road agent and helping develop our talent, which is great. Let's go ahead and medal. We do still trying to build... trying to repair this Ricky Starks situation. Not Ricky Gibson. Not Ricky Knight. Not Ricky Morton. Ricky Starks. We should start a stable with nothing but Rickies. Jesus. Can we fix this? No. No, we cannot. We're expecting 198 fans, which will be right in line with our size here. So we got a show to put on. Let's go ahead and do it. Catch you guys on the flip. All right, everybody, we are back with 123 minutes of a show with 2 pre-show matches leading. I don't remember if this is our go-home show or not, so I kind of booked it like it is. I think it is, and I think our pay-per-view's up next, but just in case. So I wanted to make sure we had everything in a neat little bow for the most part. So let's go ahead and let's check out the show. Let's see what we had on this episode of NWA Worldwide. Pre-show match number 1 is Delilah Doom and Kylie Ray versus Allie Katch and Thunder Rosa. We just needed to give Delilah Doom, well, mostly we needed to give Kylie Ray and Allie Katch and Thunder Rosa something to do. Make sure he didn't have any problems, any irritations, because they are stars in our show, and we just didn't have time to put them on. This gave a team of Delilah Doom and Kylie Ray a win. Pinned Allie Katch with a super kick. I should say Kylie Ray did so. Trying to build them all 3 up, and they did really well. Thunder Rosa had a 66, Allie Katch had a 42, Delilah Doom had a 36, and Kylie Ray had a 49. So it just gives them some opportunity to do some work, and that ultimately was the goal here. We have Lance Archer versus Kerry Morton. Again, same idea. Lance Archer he's in our tournament, but he hasn't been on for a little bit, so just gave him an opportunity to demolish Kerry Morton in 7 minutes, gives him a blackout. Lance Archer has a 66, and Kerry Morton has a 27, and ultimately gives us a 47 for the pre-show match. Lance Archer in amazing form, and actually they had some chemistry, which lifted the match. Very interesting. I think Kerry Morton's got potential. He's just very young, and putting him in some pre-show matches, putting him in more stuff like this is only going to help build him up. We start the show off with the first of our 2 in our Strongbow Memorial tournament matches. It's Black Taurus versus Colby Carino, and it had superb wrestling and great heat. This was a just brutal match here. Actually, I think this was a work the crowd match, which we got the strong start with. They had actually, Allie Katch had great chemistry. I got really excited there. I was like, oh man, Colby Carino's got great chemistry with somebody. No, but Black Taurus is doing great. Allie Katch and Black Taurus are apparently like just an excellent management team, so I'm really happy we put this together because they got great chemistry and are working together. If we ever delve into like a mixed tag scene, I think that's definitely going to be something we're going to go with. Black Taurus has got a 64, Colby Carino's got a 48, match is a 47. I say that's a great way to start a show. Ultimately, Black Taurus defeats Colby Carino. Colby Carino is very close to being pretty much out of the competition here in this tournament, especially if you look at who else he has yet to face. It's looking pretty grim for Colby here, but he was not going to beat Black Taurus. Not many are. And in our second of the Strongbow Memorial matches, we have Ricky Starks versus Homicide. Pretty good match. Ricky Starks defeats Homicide here. Not much to say other than the crowd got hotter. Homicide had a 49. Ricky has a 60. I think this gives Ricky a 3rd win in the tournament. We'll take a look at it at the end. But obviously doing very well for himself. Has his eyes on that television championship, and he is moving towards it. And then we move on to another match. So match after match after match here, opening the show. Probably should have put some kind of promo in between to pace it a little bit better. But that's okay. A little concerned at the crowd's continuing to get hotter here. We do have a match to cool them down a bit, but I think we might blow them up early. But we have our best of 5 series. Right now, I think the Order has 1. Von Erichs have 1. Now that Von Erichs have 2, they defeat the Order in 14 minutes. Roy gets pinned by Marshall. He gives him the Iron Claw. He got submitted with the Iron Claw. In terms of in-ring work, Marshall was head and shoulders above everybody else. Not much to say about it. It's not a great score, but, it's giving the Von Erichs something to do. It's giving the Order something to do. The Order's not bad. Like, the Knights aren't looking too bad. 33, if we can build them up in this area a little bit, I think they'll be a good lower mid-card team. We maybe push them above their station here, but that's also why we're putting it early on the show. Our tag team scene's not going to be great here, and we know that, at least until we can get the tournament done and we can start to take some of that talent and put them together. But I don't think it was a mistake because we're getting great matches out of it, but certainly the tournament and the length it's going to take is kind of absorbing some of our top talent, which is a bit of a problem. Not the end of the world, but it is a bit of a problem as we kind of go through. We may have to speed up the tournament, and what I might start doing is adding in our pre-show 2 tournament matches and then 2 tournament matches on the show itself to try to move through it a little bit faster because we want to reclaim some of these workers going forward. So my hope is that we'll have it in the next 4 or 5 weeks, have the tournament basically wrapped up for the next pay-per-view. We'll see if we could get there. I don't know if we will, but that is certainly the goal going forward. And in another match after match after match here, Tim Storm Jr. had a match with Nick Camarado. It was a 1-versus-1, no DQ match, obviously. They had called it out before. This match, just horrible. 26. Nick's, the crowd wasn't digging this, I think. I know that they're not super thrilled with hardcore. I don't see any penalties because it is not necessarily a hardcore match. It's just like, some weapons, some tables. 12 minutes submission. Tim Storm Jr. wins. But at what cost, really? 31 for Tim Storm Jr., 35 for Nick. QT's storyline still continuing. Not much to say other than ugh. Afterwards, QT Marshall comes out and he stares down a bloodied Tim Storm Jr. Clearly, they're going to have a match at the pay-per-view. QT's been trying to recruit Tim Storm, trying to bring him into the fold, into the Nightmare Factory. And it seems like as he's been moving through people, it clearly is going to lead to a match. It's not going to be a great match. It'll be early on in the show, but we got to get through this storyline. And we have a trios match with Colt Cabana, Warhorse, and Aaron Stevens. Warhorse been kind of pulled into the fold with Colt Cabana and Aaron Stevens' feud, and now they move on to just have kind of just a breather match. This is a comedy match here, and not much to say about it. It scores pretty poorly, unfortunately, and Colt, Warhorse, and Aaron defeat Casey Navarro and Midnight Heat in 8 minutes. Warhorse pins Ricky Gibson. We still have a bit of a heel turn hint at Aaron here. He gave the crowd a breather, but everybody was all over the place and ultimately only gave us a 37. Allison Kay comes out. King Coda comes out, and Allison Kay had said, I get to pick a match tonight. Or last week, she said, and then if you beat that challenger, then you can face me at the pay-per-view. So she picks NWA member, road agent, and also legend, Mickie James. If you can beat Mickie James, you can have a shot at me. Crowd pops a little bit for this. Match itself is pretty solid at a 48. Had fantastic heat, had great wrestling. Mickie James defeats King Kota Kai in 11 minutes by pinfall. Following interference by Jamie Hayter. Now, Jamie had come out before and said, I'm not here for anything. I'm here to face you. And clearly, she is sabotaging Kota Kai's options here to basically get her into a fight. And we ultimately have a pretty solid match. King Kota cannot face Allison Kay. Allison Kay will face somebody else for the pay-per-view. And ultimately, pretty good. 48. Got the crowd buzzing again, unfortunately, so we're going to have some burnout potentially going into the later part of the show. Afterwards, we just have a call out that Hayter had interfered, cost Kota the match. The two of them end up coming to blows, and they start brawling all the way through the audience. This got the crowd continuing to get hotter. Crowd is really hyped for this show, despite some stinkers. And gets us a 46. Afterwards, we have backstage the team of Warhorse, Aaron Stevens, and Colt Cabana kind of resting, recuperating from their match. And Aaron, and also Danhausen's just there hanging out. Aaron tells the camera basically that people may view them as a joke, but they've proved that already that they mean serious business, and as a trio are willing to face anybody at the pay-per-view to show their worth. Danhausen makes some quips during it because he's just hanging out, and it's clear that the non-serious nature of Colt and Workhorse and Danhausen is kind of wearing thin on Aaron. So they have this kind of unlikely alliance here, but Aaron is not super thrilled by it. He clearly wants to be serious, and everybody else is kind of goofing off, and that's kind of providing some tension between the group here already. And before our main event, Cody cuts a promo, says he saw what happened last week with the double pinfall, and it just proves that nobody has earned a match with him, that he'll just have to pick somebody for the pay-per-view, that nobody in NWA is really worthy to have a match with him. And, he's just kind of healing it up. He has a exhibition match tonight versus Sean Hernandez. It does fine. 66 with Cody, 35 with Sean. This is part of the problem with having the tournament, with having some of our best people in it, is that I don't have a lot of people to face in the main events without potential burnout problems. So Cody just goes off against the mid-carder, and it gets about a mid-card segment rating, which is really bad for our show, unfortunately. Ultimately, though, it did have great heat, and it had great wrestling. Cody, of course, pins Sean in 15 minutes after a crossroads. Afterwards, Ace Austin and Eddie Kingston come out to argue with Cody, kind of upset by the whole situation. Obviously neither of them have won last week. Big argument ensues, and Dustin Rhodes comes out, fed up with all this nonsense, and he announces with his best Booker Man voice that there will have to be an end to this, and at the pay-per-view, it'll be Cody Rhodes versus Eddie Kingston versus Ace Austin for the title. So obviously they both tied. They both get a shot here. Cody is enraged. He starts spouting out nonsense to Ace and Eddie, and all three of them end up brawling, closing the show with a big brawl that needs to be broken up by the entire staff, and does pretty okay. This is definitely a weaker show going into the go home here. I'm thinking at best we're at like 56 right now, which is a shame after just saying that we've been sticking in the 60s for a while. Still should be enough for us to move up the ladder, get some popularity point growth, but some of the booking decisions and sort of the limitations that we had with who was available kind of hurt us a little bit. 49, even worse than I thought. Ultimately, though, it did increase our popularity. I could, in the future, always use some people that are not in the tournament in some of these main events, and maybe I might need to start doing that. But I think the best solution in the long term is to start to do more tournament matches pre-show, and maybe just do a recap video for the audience at home, saying that these happened while you were not watching, because ultimately we want to free up that talent. We want to get a champion, and we don't want it to last too long with so much of our top talent stuck in the tournament. And that's sort of where we're at this point. So I think this was an eye-opening number here to realize that we need to change that, because if I just keep on using the same people at the top of the card, we'll get burnout problems. Creatively, we need to move on beyond Cody versus Eddie versus Ace Austin. We need to do something else there, and we need to free up some people. So we may need to use some people in main events outside of it. Maybe some of our tournaments need to be main events. We got to change up how we're booking. So not happy, but at least we have a plan going forward. All right, we got some news. Let's check our mail here. 18,000's not too bad. Can't complain about that. I think that went ultimately... I can complain. I will complain about that. I think that show was okay. Still, the feedback was awesome, but we knew we could have done a lot better. Peter Avalon apparently may be leaving AEW. Not a bad option for us, but not really great. Again, we're not hiring too many people. We are just looking at people that might make sense. I did hire somebody in between, but we have to wait about 28 days for them to get in. Like I said, we are trying to limit our... we're trying to limit how many people we hire. We're probably going to let some people go. There's definitely some people that, like, you know, dropping maybe one half of this team wouldn't be a bad idea. Dropping, there's a bunch of people we can drop. I realized we had Lena Fanini, Nia Jax here, and she can't wrestle. We had hired her, and I was like, you know what? Why haven't I put her on here? I realized she's retired, and she won't even come out of retirement. So guess what? Fired. Bye. Sorry, Lance. I know. So Lance could be upset about that, but he's not even that upset. Just a little upset. He's furious. Well, you know what? You'll live. So we're gonna make way for some people, but definitely some people are just not worth keeping, and we're gonna have to keep an eye out on that as we go through. Not Ramona. We're gonna keep Ruby here, but you know, so keep an eye on that. Anybody we add, we're probably going to remove some people. I think the Billington boys probably can get tossed. They only have 16 days on their contract anyways, so I'm just going to let it lapse. We don't need to fire them, but that is certainly something that we're going to be looking at going forward. Anyways, that is it for me today. Thank you guys for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Looks like for another Worldwide before Enter the Codyverse. So see you guys next time.